Hello friends, hi, this is Nikita and I'm here with a new video on debugging tools in PEGA. So what I have observed in my comment is people are looking for a video on debugging techniques that are used in PEGA. And I thought this is very important, as when I was starting out, I was looking for some video like this which can teach me how can I use the debugging tools which are provided by PEGA. How can I effectively use in my application and solve issues in a jiffy. So that was my reason that I thought this is really important for you all also to understand it. So let's start. So first of all, let me start with what is the content of this particular video. So this is basically, there are two major debugging tools which are extensively used in PEGA. One is Tracer, the other one is Clipboard. So in this video, we would talk about only these tools here. For other debugging tools which are needed in advanced courses, we will have a new video on that. So let's concentrate on Tracer and Clipboard in this video. So for Tracer, what we will cover in this video are rules which are invoked in an application. How can we check that in Tracer? Order of the rules invoked. How can we check local variables? How can we check parameter values? And how can we check only specific values or specific rules in Tracer rather than getting all of them? So that's all in Tracer. Coming to Clipboard, we will cover what are different pages in Clipboard, how to understand where to look for when we need in our application, how can we edit the Clipboard for our runtime checking. So these are a few of the things we will explore in this video. So let's jump into our application. We'll first cover our Tracer. Okay, so we have a case type already there. So let's start with that. Okay, so this is the case type. What I'll do is I will run this case type and then check in the Tracer what are the available option, right? So what I can do is I can just save and run. Okay, so here this is the form which I've created. You have to fill this form, right? So let me give the Nikita Kanuria and any date of birth. I have not put any validation in here currently, so let me put anything. Okay, so now coming to Tracer, let me open this and we will see one by one. Okay, so coming to this, so we have several options here. Let's check one by one. So this particular button is pause and play button. So whenever you have completed the tracing and you want to pause it in that particular time, you can just click on it and again you can start playing it whenever you need it. The next one is about the clear button. So this one is when you have a lot of rules in the Tracer and which you don't need to check and you just want to clear it, right? So you can use this clear button to just remove all of the rows which has come here. Okay, coming to the setting, very important. Let me just go here and so first of all we will see what are the available option here. Okay, so these are the events to trace. So there are many events in PEGA, right? Like activities, data transforms, when rule, all of those are events, and the start and end of this you can either trace it or you have an option to disable it. So if you disable this then start and end of the activity will not be traced in the Tracer. So these are few of the things you can check if you need it. Usually we just check all of them because we need to see the start and end of activities and all of this, right? So break condition is something like when you want it to break the Tracer at that point. You don't want more rules after it to be traced, right? Suppose you had some exception and you just want the Tracer to stop there and do not trace anything else. So this is where the break condition comes into picture. You can do it like when it is like you see anything failed in the tracer, and then the tracer will automatically stop there. It will break. Okay, in exception it can break. These are the things you can see. In general option, the most important one you will see is the local variable. Okay, so there is an option in an activity where you can have a local variables, right? So those local variables you will have to see it, see the value of this in runtime. What happened, is it taking the correct value or not? So for that you will have to check it, then only you would be able to see that in tracer. And where would you be able to see in tracer, that we will see in a while. Okay, let's just complete this first. Now event type to trace. This is basically all the rules you have in PEGA, right? You have activity, you have declare, declare expression, a lot of things, right? Lot of things. Then you have services, query resolution is for Elasticsearch thing, and you have lot of other rules, right? So what you can do is you can check on the specific rule which you want to which we want the tracer to trace. Okay, it might happen that you are in an application and where you just want to check how your activity is working. You don't want to check other rules types. In that scenario you can check them. Having lot of them just messes up the tracer, and then becomes hard to find your actual issue. That's the reason. Now coming to rule sets to trace, there are a lot of rule sets, be it your application rule set, otherwise you can have the PEGA out of the box rule set, right? So there are a lot of the rule sets here, and sometimes what happens is having so many rule sets traces in the tracer again messes up the whole thing, right? You don't want to check all of the rules and then find where is your particular rule, all of the stuff. So sometimes you just want to trace only your specific rule set. In that scenario you can deselect all, and you can just select your particular rule set or your organization rule set as well. All those kind of things you can do. So very flexible in terms of that. You can check whatever you want to check, right? So that's about it. Let me click on OK. I hope this is clear. Okay. So when you play this, you see some other option as well, right? So you have this save. Coming to save, right? Save is basically whatever you see here in tracer, you want it to get saved and to check that in the later point in time. So now you can see some of the things, right? I can just save it. So this XML would be downloaded here, right? Which you can open and see. So let me open this. So now you can see here, right? These are the event traces which you can go through, and maybe you will be able to understand your issue. So this is another option, right? So this is done so that when you have traced the rule and you got some other work and you don't have time to check it at that point, so you can save and keep it for the later point in time use. Okay, so this is about save. Coming to remote tracer, I don't know how much you're familiar with requesters and all in PEGA. But what happens is, suppose you have some other users using PEGA at the same point of time which you are using, and you want to trace the rules which they are seeing in the application, right? So sometimes what happens is you have a user and that user is getting some error, okay, which you are not able to reproduce when you are doing it in your side. So so you understood that there is something which is specific to that user. Okay, so at that point what you can do is you can just check in the remote tracer your particular user who is facing that issue. Maybe it can be some okay, let me check anything, but you normally use the browser requester. You check the browser requesters. Okay, okay, you can do an okay, and then what happens is whatever that user will do, you will be able to see that here. So that's a cool feature. Okay, breakpoints is not that much needed, so that's okay, we can skip it. So this was all about tracer. Okay, so now what I can do is I can again start on tracer and do a submit here. So we will see what happens in the background. Let me do that. Let me start the tracer. And most importantly, you should start tracer when you know that particular step when the issue can come or when the issue is going to occur. Otherwise, you will see a lot of unnecessary rules just piling it up here and making the life tough. Okay, so let me submit now and check. Okay, so now you can see many rules here. Since I have just disabled the PEGA out of the box rule set, I see very less number of rules. So yeah, so now you can see a lot of the rules here. Okay, so what happens is the order of the tracing is from bottom to top. So whatever has first occurred will come here. So you can see here, right? So here it is 1, 2, 3. So the steps you can see here. So it starts from here. So first what happened is first flow action was called and then flow action activity. Okay, so after that there was an activity, post activity, which I had configured. Here you can see, right? So let me go to the application and show you what is there in the background. Let me open this case type. Okay, so in this case type you have one process here. Let me open this. Okay, so in this process you have a flow action. When I open this flow action, I can see this has a section and then there is this post fill form. This is the activity which I had configured, post processing activity. So this was you were able to see that in the tracer. Let me open this. Okay, so this is the activity. Let me see, can I find this here? What you can do whenever you want to find any rule which are there in the tracer, do a Control F and then just post fill form, right? So let me write it down. Okay, yeah, so you can see this getting highlighted, right? So you know that here your activity is called. And what if you want to let me first close this. What if you want to just open this activity directly from here? So now you can see here, but what if I click on it? Whenever you click on it, it opens up in the Dev Studio. So that's a very good feature. You can just open it here. And now you want to check step by step what's happening. So here you can see there is a step number 1, right? And this is the status of the step. Okay, and in this particular place you can see there is a step begin and step end, activity begin and activity end. So what starts is first there is an activity begin when that particular activity starts. Okay, and then there is a step begin, the first step which begins here, and then there is a step end, the first step ends here, and the activity status is good. So when it is not good, it can be fail or something like this, right? So this is how you check your thing here. Now coming to other property values like local variables and parameter variables, right? First of all, before that, let me show you in PyWorkpage what happens. So what we have given in the form is name, first name, and yeah, so we gave first name and last name. So you can see it here. I also gave a date of birth, right? Date of birth got converted to the GMT format, that is the out of the box you can see here. This is full name. What happens is I have actually done that in the activity. In the activity, when you go here, you can see that full name I have created by concatenating the first name and last name. That's why you can see the full name here. So this is how your candidate page is looking like. Okay, So that's great. Now what I can do is I can show you how the parameter and all you will see in the tracer. Since I have not have any parameters in my activity, I will not see anything, but let me show you. So when you go to this particular place, right, where you have seen property set, what you can do is you can just click on it, and there is a parameter page name unnamed. So this is the page where all the parameters which you have in this activity, or you have anything which stays there till your activity is called, would be coming up here. Okay, my pop-up. Okay, let me allow the pop-up, right? So again coming here. Okay, so these are out of the box parameters which PEGA is using behind the scene to do their own work, right? So these are the those parameters, but I can have my own parameter also. Let me do that for you. Let me create one parameter. Okay, I can do that here itself. Param dot testing. Okay, some value. In the meanwhile, I can also have a local variable to test this. Local that check local. I can have this some local value. Okay. So these are two activity. Yeah. So other thing is whenever you create a local variable, you have to go here and specify the name of this. So my check local have to go in here, and my data type will be string. Okay. So this is something which you have to do. Best practices, parameter also should be defined, but that's okay for now. Okay, so what I can do is I can again run this case type. Okay, and we will see that in the tracer. Let me save and run it. Okay, okay, I will give my name. I will give some date of birth. Okay, now I have to trace it. So let me open the tracer and do a submit. Well and good. Let me open the tracer. Okay, so I have to search for my activity. Post fill form. Here it is. Okay, so you can see here activity begins, step end. Great. Now coming to here, I want to see both my local variable as well as parameters. So coming to local variable, you can see here local variables and view variable. So click on view variable, right? I have created a local variable check local, and the value is some local value. So all the local variables you will find here. Okay, coming to parameters. So there is a parameter page name unnamed. Clicking on it, I will find my parameter which I had defined. Okay, my parameter property name is testing, right? I have to find that here. Testing. Okay, so I get it. So this is testing and it has some value. So now you know where to check for parameter and local variables. Okay. Coming to my other part is checking only specific rule, which I have already covered, right? So tracer is very easy to find any issues. So I would advise you to please explore that. One thing is about how do you see when there is any failure in the activity, right? I will show you that. Maybe I will have some dummy obj open which fails, and then how it looks in the tracer. So maybe obj open by handle I will do. I will give some dummy instance handle which doesn't even exist. Okay, and I will just save it. I want to see how does it look in tracer. So this is only for that purpose. Now I will have to again run this, save and run. Okay, I will open the tracer and I will submit. Okay, great. Coming to here. Okay, yeah, so you can see how does the fail look like, right? So whenever there is a fail, you just have to click on this and you will understand the reason why it failed. So now class I0 does not exist. So I was trying to have the class name as I0, which doesn't even exist. So that is why I got a failure. So that is how it looks in the tracer when there is a failure. You will be understanding through this. So that was about tracer. Coming to clipboard, right? So for clipboard again, I will have to run one case type. I'll show you how it looks like in clipboard. Coming to name, okay, date of birth. So I can just open the clipboard now. Okay, so you can see a clipboard here. Let me open it. Let me show you how does it look like. Okay, so this is a clipboard. Okay, whatever your open thread is, you will see here. Like if you have some a lot of cases open, you would see all of them separately here and for other different purpose. So main point to note is there are 4 different kind of pages in here. There is user page, there is data pages, there is link property pages and system pages. We'll understand them one by one. First of all, there is a user page. When you go to the user page, all of the pages currently existing in the memory, in that application, that thread, you would be seeing here. So suppose you have created any page by page new or something like that, you would be able to see that in your user page. And best practices you remove after you have used that page if that is not needed afterwards. Otherwise, it just piles up in the memory. You would be able to see that in your clipboard. It's of no use. It just takes the extra memory here. So whatever user pages are, you would be able to see that here. One point to note is there is the data pages section also, but there are some specific kind of data pages which you would see in user pages. Those are the editable data pages. I would talk about more about data pages in my separate video because it's not in the scope of the video. So let me open the data pages now. Okay, so there are so when I talk about data pages, there are 3 scopes of them, right? So thread, requester and node. So for each of them you would be able to see it separately in here. So the requester, the node, all would be able to see it separately. So it's easier to debug and check the values, right? Then there's a link property pages which is outside the scope of this video. This is not much used, so it is okay. We would talk about it later. There is the system pages which is used extensively. It's about whatever pages which are used in the background and which are needed by the PEGA to perform some actions, right? So there is access group. Whatever access group currently your operator has opened, right? So every application and access group are linked, right? So what access group currently you have opened and you have access to, you would be able to see it here. So when you click on it, you would be able to see the access group description and all the stuff, right? And coming to application, okay, so your application, all the things about your application, right? Your branches, branch list, you would be able to see here. See, I have some branch called as branch. Then there is a lot of extra thing which you can explore by yourself. Then there is operator ID, very important. So your particular operator ID will have some values of email ID, name, and all those stuff. Sometimes what happens is you would be needing this pages to extract certain values. Maybe in your activity you are checking some operation, we are checking your operator ID name or your operator ID access group or something like this. So this particular pages would be accessible throughout your application, and you can use it for your use. So like work basket, work group, all the stuff. And there is the requester pages. Then there is a process, very important. Sometimes you need it for knowing your system node ID and your production level, very important. You might be knowing what is your production level of your application, right? So all these are some of the important system pages which is used by PEGA as well, and we can also use for our application needs. So that was about clipboard. Okay, now coming to my application, I have opened one fill form, right? I have just filled some form. Let me open this and see where it is. So since it is a case, where you have to go is PyWorkpage. As you can see, this PyWorkpage class is interview, right? So this is the correct place where you should check into. Now coming to my this first name, last name, all these are under a page, candidate page. So you would be able to see that here, right? Candidate, there's a page called candidate, and it should have all the values, right? So since I have not saved it, okay, let me open the clipboard again. Okay, so now you can see all of the values which you have poured, right? Last name, first name, and all those stuff. When you again do a submit and then check, there would be some extra values you would be able to see. Like suppose you have submitted now, and now you're going to the clipboard and checking the PyWorkpage. Okay, let me check here. So now you could see there is a full name as well, along with the first name and last name, which you have configured in the activity. So this is how you can check them. Suppose you also have some other options in clipboard, right? There is edit, refresh, and actions. What you can do is, suppose you are doing some runtime checking that how your application is behaving in that point in time, and you want to have some property value added to that particular page, right? So I can have some property value added here. py note maybe. Currently it should take py note, but that is okay. And you also can delete any of the property which you don't want that particular step to have, or you can discard it. And then there is an actions where you can show XML, show JSON, or execute activity, right? So these are some advanced things you can do. You can execute activity at this particular page also. So this is a functionality given by PEGA. You can discard it. So these are some extra things. So I think that's all which you can which you will need in your application to debug any issues. So yeah, so that's all about this video. And please comment and let me know what are the other videos you want me to make on topics which you want me to discuss, and anything like that. And please give your feedback also. Thank you all for subscribing to my channel and liking and commenting on it. Thank you everyone. So this is really a great motivation for me to make videos and be consistent for it. Thank you everyone. Meet you again in my next video. Till then, stay safe. Bye bye.